This week I'm driving the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and this is a blast to drive. And I have to tell you, and be honest with you, I've completely loved the test week. I've driven around Chicago, I've taken it down to Indianapolis. It's great for the city, it's great for longer drives, it's petite, so it fits in a lot of spaces, and yeah, so I'm not going to do a full review of this vehicle because I've got that on another channel, which I will link up here. What I want to do in this video is I want to talk a little bit about being me. I often tell people that I am 5 feet tall, and there are some unique challenges that come with being a petite driver, and I encountered a few of them in this vehicle, but the great thing is that there are also solutions for most of the problems that I have, which thumbs up to automakers for being able to design for the 5th percentile female and those on the petite side of the spectrum. So I'm actually gonna talk a little bit about the car, but also talk a little bit about some of the things that I encountered as a short driver. So since I am at the back of the vehicle, I'm actually gonna start with this right here, and that is going to be the rear lift gate. So as you notice, this is a little bit tall, and it actually goes a little bit taller than this. And I found at least at one point during the test week, I had to do a little bit of a hop to reach the button. Now there's also no handle up here that you can grab it to pull it down. So I did find though, if you can get it lower, you can press and hold this button. Maybe I'll get it to work. There it is, finally. Okay, took a little bit of futzing around. I don't know what the exact sequence is to make it come down. That's also a little bit of part of the problem. But once you press this and hold this button and you get it to work and you hear a double beep, it will now go down and then come up at this level every time. Relief. No jumping, no grabbing, no doing weird things to get this to come down. So a little bit of a problem, but there is a solution, and I appreciate that. Now I will point out a lot of vehicles that have that tailgate that you have to hit a button here to bring it down. A lot of vehicles do have the option that you can lower it and then you can press and hold the button so that you can set the height. So this is not unique to the Stelvio, I get it, but I'm just showing you it's a little bit difficult to operate here, but once it operates, it works. So, problem solution, thumbs up-ish. All right, now entry and exit to a vehicle can also be a short girl problem, and I will say that because these seats are, well bolstered and you have some sports seats here, this can be slightly problematic. Now, there's one thing that Alfa Romeo does that actually makes this easier. It has an easy entry seat loading position, so when I get out and open the door, the seat moves back, so it gives me enough space to get in. There are some vehicles that don't do that, and when you have the big bolsters like this, you have this much space to kind of slide behind the wheel. So Alfa Romeo did that right, so that gets a little bit of a thumbs up. But these bolsters are also popping up really high, so you've got a little bit of a bolster situation, and I found that when I was getting in, I couldn't just slide in like this. I had to kind of do a little bit of a hike up, and then you're sitting on the bolster, which that's going to kill the bolster eventually, and then I had to kind of drop down in. So somebody who's taller would probably just put their leg over and scoop right in, but for me, especially when I was wearing a skirt or when I was in high heels, this was just a little bit it was a little bit of a hurdle that I had to jump over. Worth it. I don't want you to think that any of these things that I'm talking about are deal breakers. It's totally worth it. But like I said, this right here is just a little bit of a problem. But once I'm in the seat, the great thing about these seats is they are super duper comfortable. 3 hours to Indianapolis, 3 hours back, and did not feel like my butt hurt. Honda vehicles, not so much, but Alfa Romeo, thumbs up. Because, so here's the thing, these seats are kind of firm, even though they're like really, and I'm like totally leaning on the bolster. So even though these things are really well bolstered and firm, they're not uncomfortable. And that is kind of unusual. Firm usually is kind of uncomfortable. General Motors seats feel like I'm sitting on concrete. So I don't know what Alfa Romeo did. I don't know if it's the support that they give you, but overall, these seats are very comfortable once you know, short girl problem, get over the bolster. Now, okay, so as I said, the seat is kind of moved back so I have enough space to get into the vehicle, and then when you start it up, and start up is right here, I do have to reach with my tippy toe to reach the brake, but then it pushes it forward and it gives me a really good driving position that I've obviously already set up. And I also have memory seats over here, which is another thumbs up from the short girl's perspective, especially if you are sharing the car with a taller driver, because let me tell you, the taller driver will get in and mess everything up for you. They will probably say the same thing about me. I will get in the vehicle and mess everything up for them. So memory settings, moving the seat forward, really good driving position. So I feel very comfortable in the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, and yeah, good driving position. But while we're here, there's something that is not so good, and it is something that I cannot fix. As a short driver, I'm just gonna have to get used to it. And that is going to be this chunky A-pillar right here with the, you know, very big mirror that's kind of high. So I am eye level with that mirror, and that essentially means that I have a very big blind spot right here. So if I go up to a four-way stop, I find myself kind of doing this to peek around this A-pillar and over the mirror. Now, I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a blind spot for somebody who's more on the shorter than average side of things. May even be a problem for somebody who's on the average side of things. I don't know. Obviously, I'm neither of those things. But just this blind spot, slightly problematic. And you know, I always look into corners when I'm turning, so when I'm making a left, I also found myself kind of doing this to make sure that I could see where I was turning into. So that can, you know, just this situation right here can't be fixed. It's just going to be something that you are going to have to live with and get used to. But there's so many other great things about this car that you may want to do that. I don't know that this is a deal breaker, especially because this right here is just a really good driving position for somebody who's on the shorter side of things. And I'm also going to point out they didn't tilt the headrest forward, so I've got a ponytail today, and a lot of times, like, I'll be driving and like it messes with my ponytail. Now this messes with my ponytail a little bit, but it is not crazy bad. So you know, sometimes like they just push forward and you're just driving like this, and that's not comfortable. So you have to like tilt the seat back and do all sorts of weird things in order to not have it mess with your ponytail and not push your head forward at a weird angle. So seating position, headrest, all good from the petite perspective. It's just that. So I have one more thing I want to show you that I really like this feature on all vehicles, and the Stelvio Quadrifoglio has it. So another thumbs up from a tall and a short person's perspective, I think. All right, the final feature I want to talk about is this right here, and this is your thigh bolster adjustment. So it has a manual release right here, and what you do is you kind of squeeze it, and then this pops out, and as you can see, it comes out about 2 inches and extends beyond the normal range of what it would be. And this is great for both tall and small drivers because it allows the seat to be adjusted in multiple ways for multiple sizes. And any vehicle that has this just gets a huge thumbs up in my book because, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am the 5th percentile female, which that means I'm the lowest common denominator most automakers will design for at 5 feet tall and about 95 pounds. So, you know, how do you do things like that? How do you accommodate somebody who's my size and then somebody who's like 6'2" or 6'3"? Well, features like this, because again, you can pull it out for a taller driver, but then when you're shorter, and this is more of a two-handed thing, so I'm going to put my knee in there, but for the shorter driver, you can push it all the way in, and then, you know, it's much more comfortable and it hits you in a much better place to drive. So as you can see, it's just right at the back of my knee, and you know, sometimes when this is like the seats are extended, I feel like, you know, I'm like kind of dangling out over the lip of this. So the fact that they have this feature, just, I don't know, that makes it much more accommodating for multiple kinds of drivers, and I very, very much appreciate it. A lot of automakers will have a power button, which makes it easier to deal with, but I don't know, I will take the manual option any day. So yeah, that is the final feature. Again, look at that. That is the final feature that I am really appreciating on the Alfa Romeo Stelvio for both tall and small drivers, but yeah, for small drivers. All right, I want to close this out with some brief driving impressions, and since I'm stopped at a red light, let's just start with auto stop start. So right now the engine is off and it's pretty quiet. You can really hear the turn indicator, but the turning back on of the engine is a little bit clunky. And again, I'm in the four-way stop, so I'm doing a little bit of I guess not a four-way stop, I was at a crosswalk, so I was doing a little bit of a look around to make sure, you know, I could see the woman who was crossing with her dog. So, I mean, those are two things that are a little bit clunky, but once you can get beyond the auto stop start, and there is a button to shut it off on the left side of the steering wheel, so you can do that. So once you get beyond that, and you get beyond this blind spot that we've already talked about, this is just a really fun vehicle to drive. I have very few bad things to say about the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. It's eye-catching, it is dynamic, and it is just, I don't know, it's just a solid vehicle. It's one of those vehicles that you will buy when you are looking for something that's sporty and fun, but you need to maybe put a couple of kids in the back, or you need to store some stuff in the cargo area and you just need a little bit more. You need more. But when you pop it over into dynamic mode, I don't know if you can hear any of that, but the exhaust note is quite lovely. The suspension stiffens up just a little bit more, and your throttle response is just a little bit more aggressive. So all of that is good, and it's fun to take out onto highway on and off ramps to kind of, you know, do a little bit of a turn, and yeah, I'm giving all of that a thumbs up. I will say, driving in the city, I had to take it out of dynamic mode because the roads here are a little bit rough, and there are a lot of speed bumps. So I'm coming up on one right now, and you have to just kind of take it slow. So if you don't live in an area with speed bumps, not a problem, but took it out of dynamic mode for that. If I had to sum this up, because I've already been rambling way too long, I would say the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio is one of those just right vehicles if you're looking for something that's fun to drive, but also has a little bit extra space, extra cargo space, extra. All right, that is all I have for you on the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with a new car du jour.